Are you ready to learn more about what it means to provide a home staging consultation or to actually go through a home staging consultation? You're going to want to stay tuned. Welcome to Home Staging TV. This is Tori Storytale Staging live, and I'm your host, Tori Toth. And so today with me, I have an amazing woman. Since launching her award-winning staging company, Successful Staging, our next guest has staged and or consulted on over 8,000 properties. She's the creator of the award-winning Occupied Consultation Specialist. It was a RESA 2019 Most Innovative Products of the Year, and she is also a RESA-approved instructor, RESA-PRO. She currently is on the RESA Board of Directors, and she serves with me. And she was a past president of RESA Raleigh-Durham chapter, and is, of course, the owner of the company, the home staging company, I should say, Successful Staging. From the first day in her business, she has focused on educating everyone on the distinct marketing advantage staging provides. And now she's here to educate us. So welcome, Bobbie McGrath.
Yes, hello, Ms. Tori Toth. I am fabulous, and thank you so much for having me here.
Of course. We need to get our education game on and our knowledge on when it comes to staging consultations. So can you first off, let's define what a home staging consultation is so we're all on the same page.
Perfect. Okay, so for me, a consultation is when you meet with the homeowner and you provide, and hopefully the agent would come too, because the goal of the consultation at the end is for everyone to be on the same page so that as we're moving forward, we all understand what will happen, what won't happen, and what our ultimate goal is. All right. So a consultation generally for me, it's a 2-hour consultation where we all get on the same page, where I will provide, in my perfect world, this is what I'd like to see. And that's when I invite pushback and say, if there's anything you can't do, won't do, not sure you're going to do, let me know. It's my job to come up with the workaround, because at the end of our time together, I want you to be able to make an educated decision that's best for you and your family based on your time frame and your budget. And I will tell you, that little deal that I just said, that right there has set me apart. That's why agents call me, and that's why homeowners have me come back time and time again. In fact, I've done couple 4 different times. 4 different times I've offered consultations with them.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Now, are there different levels of consultations? Explain that. Are there different levels? And then what are those levels? And
so,
and when do you offer them?
Okay. Yeah. So for me, a consultation it's a minimum 2 hours. And again, I'll cover anything and everything there. But I do provide other types of consultations as well. There's vacant consultations. That's when folks they're not too sure if they're going to do the actual staging, but they would like guidance for selecting, updates or upgrades for the fixed assets. So there's that. There's occupied, there's vacant. There's also, of course, color consultations. And with those, I generally will do an hour minimum on those. If it's more complicated, I'll book 2 hours. Let's see, there's so many different types. Let's see, there's what I call the 2 hours of power. And that's really more of a working consultation. That's for homes that have already been on the market and their sale, for whatever reason, they didn't sell. And so they bring me in to change the way the house is perceived. So I let them know at the end of our time together, your house, the goal is for your house to look markedly different. Otherwise, the pictures look just the same. It's just like, oh, is that house still on the market? So when I'm there at that end of 2 hours, not only will we discuss the additional things that they may or may not do, but I'll also do some hands-on moving so they can see instantaneously the effect that even small changes can make. So within my business, I have the consultation. And again, I give everything in that consultation. That's why people call me. But there's also the next level is the consultation plus photo prep. And so I was talking to you before airtime today here about a couple that I did this week. So it's the consultation. One consultation that I went to, 6-hour long consultation. It was a 10,000 square foot house. Okay. So then when I came back, surprise, surprise, I went back by myself and I was done with the photo prep in only 3 hours. I was amazed. And then the one that I did yesterday, I provided a 2-hour consultation. It was a 1,400 square foot home, different situation, different abilities of the homeowner. And so I was there for 4 hours with an assistant. So you just never know. So there's the photo prep. And there's consultations for stage to live. A lot of people, when they like working with me, when they move into their new home, they have me come in and provide moving in, helping them get set up in their new home. So there's different types of consultations there. I do not do a complimentary. I don't like the word free or discount. I don't do that because I make them money. So my consultations are always at the base of my business is that strong 2-hour consultation. Then everything else is like gravy money.
So are you pricing based on square footage, based on the time?
Okay. So good question, because I know we've had a lot of discussion on both sides. For me, I've tried both. Now, this is what I discovered was there were times I would go into a 1,200 square foot home and you would think you'd be in and out, right? But for whatever reason, 4.5 hours later, I finally get the house done. And so then I'd have a 10,000 square foot house and I would book, like a 4-5 hour consultation. And based on what their situation was when I got in there, I'd be done in 3. So for me, the square footage thing didn't really work. And it had more to do with scheduling because, and my ability to set up expectation for the client. Because again, if I say, it's a 2-hour, up to 2 hours, this is my fee structure. And I let them know, look, if I don't get everything done in that time frame, please understand there is additional time available because people will keep you there all day if they can, right? Mm-hmm. They always have one more question. So for me, I do my base 2-hour consultation. I don't care if it's an 800 square foot mobile home or if it's a 25,000 square foot estate. I will be there for a minimum of 2 hours, right? And then once I start getting larger, that's when I'll say, generally a home that's 10,000 square feet, I would say, let's set aside 5 hours for the consultation. If I don't need to utilize all of that time, then naturally I won't charge you for the additional time, but this is my fee structure. And I explain that since I've broken it down and used that format, number one, my time is my own now. And they know that if I'm there any longer, that there is additional fee because there's that uncomfortable about, give me more money, right? Mm-hmm. So they understand that they will be paying me for that time. It takes all that off the table, makes life much easier. And then also I live by the rule because my consultations are the core of my business. So I have it structured where I have a 9:30, 12, 12:15 appointment, and then a 2:30 or 3 o'clock appointment. And so if I do that and I keep everybody to a 2-hour system, or if I set aside additional time for those larger houses, I control my schedule. And that's what allows me to, in normal busy times, there's times where in a week, I'll do 21 consultations in a week. That's 3 a day. Don't do it. It's stupid. But you can get it. Occasionally, I am stupid, right? It's like, my definition of experienced is you've made the mistakes, right? And I'm a very experienced stager. So live by my mistakes and don't do 21 in a week.
So talk about that, Bobbie. Talk about how you grew into this niche as being an occupied consultation specialist.
Okay, so when I started my business back in 2004, I didn't know what I was doing. I just was going to go out and help a friend get her house to look better for the photos. Now, I had heard about staging before when I was down in Florida, so I had a basic idea of what was happening. Plus, my background was such that I had kind of a unique set. We all have a unique set of specialties that we bring to the forefront. So that's what I brought to my business. But again, I was trying to figure things out, and I thought, well, I'll do it this way. So I did, and it started off with consultations. I never really thought I'd be buying furniture or any of that kind of stuff. And next thing I know, somebody said, well, can you bring in some furniture? And I was like, okay. And so I started bringing furniture from my house. Now, admit it, guys, a lot of us out there start that way. So again, 17 years ago. And so I went through this whole process, and slowly over time, you know how it is, you put a sofa and a chair in the garage and overnight they mate. And next thing you know, you've got a dining room suite and you start getting all this stuff. And
Yeah.
it just started going. So next thing I know, I have 2 warehouses and I have about enough inventory for 25 homes. And I thought, okay, well, let's just go all in on this. And then I had to talk to myself. I actually got bitten by a bug and got sick, but it was just temporary. Fortunately, I was very fortunate. But that whole time, all I could think about was the vacant side of the business. And when I really looked at my numbers, didn't matter what, year after year, my numbers were going up, up, up on my consultation business. And you know what? My overhead, right? However, with my vacant business was going like this and my overhead was following it. And so then I got to thinking, you know what? I've got some great stagers here in my area, vacant stagers that I can refer to. I should, I think I'm going to specialize on the occupied side, because that was being used almost as a throwaway, as, just do it for free to get your foot in there so that you can to give them the real job. And I was thinking, you know what? I've sold a lot of houses through the years, and there were times I didn't have a lot of money to put into my house. So I would really love it if somebody would come in and help me based on my time frame and my budget, could help me with experienced eyes, help me know where to spend my time, money, and effort. And so back in 2015, I closed down my vacant division, and I stepped in, and I just knew I had killed my business. I just knew I had. But the reality was it took off even more.
And I love the fact that you were able to focus on that, because I think you've now, you're well established now in the staging world. And I think you've given people permission to not go all in and buy a warehouse and buy inventory and become this glorified moving company that so many people think that that's what you need to be successful in the business.
Mm-hmm. It's true. And what breaks my heart, because I also do coaching for actually agents and stagers, but one of the things I kept hearing was I would have stagers sharing with me how they had put $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 of inventory onto a credit card, and they had never even received a job yet. They never had a signed contract, but they were ready when they got them. In the meantime, they're paying interest on that money. And it just broke my heart, because I was thinking, oh my gosh, I wish I could just reach in first and help stagers understand you can start your business in the consultation-based business. Start there. It's lower overhead. You still need insurance. You still have marketing. You still have your gas. You still have all those other types of things. But it's not something that's going to be pulling all of your dollars out. Get that money in there. I will tell you, in the 17 years I've been in business, I have never once, other than I think it was like $435 that I borrowed from my family to get my paperwork done to be established as a business here in North Carolina, I paid that back. Other than that, I have never been in the red in my business. It's because it was something my dad told me years ago. He said, kid, don't buy it if you can't pay cash for it. And so I even did that with my delivery truck. When I went down to get a delivery truck, I was going to do it at the end of year 5. It was the end of year 4. I went down, spoke to the truck guy. I was talking to him about what I wanted and everything. So I selected a truck. We went into the office, and he says, okay, he says, so for financing, and he started talking. And I said, I go, excuse me. I said, if I were just to write you a check today, how much would this truck cost me? What would it cost? And he looked at me and he goes, well, it would be blah, blah, blah. And I go, I'm just going to do that. So I remember he sat back in his chair and he was like, well, huh. And I just got my checkbook and I wrote out the check, and he goes, well, little lady, I liked it that he called me little. He said, little lady, nobody ever does this. And I was thinking, excuse me, I don't know if it's considered smart business, because so many times people say, no, you need to have that so you can establish credit in your business and all of this. For me, not having it on my shoulders set me free. So those are the types of things that I really looked at as I was going through my business. And as I talked to new stagers, you don't have to go deep into debt for these things. You really don't. Also, when I first started and I started building business, I utilized rental furniture companies to kind of help me during the bridge time. But you don't. Consultations, but you've got to provide top shelf consultations. You've got to come from a place of knowledge and not guessing. And if you take away nothing else today, Remember, staging is not about making the house look pretty. It's about making it marketable. We need to get out of the pretty world, because once I realized that and stopped talking pretty and started talking about marketability and strong marketing photos and those things, totally different attitude, totally different type of pushback from clients. It went from, well, I think it looks good this way and all of that, to, okay, tell me what to do. That's really key. That's key. So the consultations have got to be top drawer. They can't be what I call a Google consultation.
Consultation. So we've got some of your pictures here of some of your latest consultations. Explain what we're looking at.
Okay, so first of all, these are from through the years, the different ones, but this one was just very recent. Now, this was a woman, I staged a home for her 6 years ago. Now, keep in mind, in the occupied side of the world, you have got to take into consideration who your client is and what their circumstance is today, right? So when I met with her, first of all, I told her she's in her early 80s, I think. So I won't say her name so that she won't get mad at me for saying that. But wonderful woman. I went over to her house. Now, this is an over 55 community. So keep that in mind. Okay. So we've got clients who are moving into that neighborhood who have family pieces and things. So to see that type of thing in the house is going to feel very comforting to them. Now, this was the master bedroom. And, now keep in mind, she doesn't live like this. She was actually packing stuff up and things before I got there. But the reason I wanted you to see this picture is, do you see the one sconce on the wall?
Yeah.
Okay, there's a pair. So there's two of them, 22 karat gold and black rattlesnake shades. Okay, they're very, very exquisite. They're very, very expensive, but they also have a kind of a time stamp on them. Very, very focused, right? So in another photo, I want you to see what we replace them with. But so that's one side. And then hit the next picture.
And then this is the other side.
Now, the bed was on the perfect wall, okay? But look at the bed, really heavy and all that, and it feels very crowded. And do you notice, I mean, of course, the treadmill's going to go out, but that red carpet, your eye goes
directly to it.
Right? It's the only color in the room. So with that in mind, we talked, and I was also talking to her about taking down her lovely drapes that she just absolutely loved, but the money is in the fixed asset of those shutters.
I love those shutters.
Oh, well, I tell you, you'd love her place. I mean, her place, I love her place. So anyway, here's the before and here's the after. Okay.
It's gorgeous.
Now, look at this, okay? Hardwoods are one of the top things people want. So you want to expose the hardwood so people can see it. Now, this room could have felt very, very dark. So we actually took this rug from another room and brought it in. Even the photographer who came to shoot yesterday, because I was there for the photo prep, commented on the rug and things. She goes, this room just feels so good. And so this room now, it feels light and bright and it feels more current, but it still has the tradition that the 55 and older oftentimes are looking for.
Yes,
okay.
That's so true. And it's definitely a lot lighter and brighter. Why did you decide to caddy the rug?
Because the room, everything in it was square. We got square blinds. We've got a square bed. We've got square dresser to the left. We've got a square bureau to the right. It's just, it just needed some romance. It just needed a little action. And then if you were to go down this right wall, that leads into the double doors into this really large master bathroom. So we needed just some movement. So it's a little more interesting, I mean, you got to have interest. If I put it like everybody else, nobody notices. But it's really interesting. Small changes can really make a big difference in the way people address the photos. Plus, if I were to square that up in the photo, it would have covered up most of the wood floor.
Yeah, and I love that you put the pop of color now on the bed.
There you go.
And
right?
also out by the window, so it's like you're looking at the bed and you're looking at the view.
So I generally try to do something I call a strong right margin and a strong left margin, and then open foreground. So the right margin is with the lamp and the color to the bed. That gives me that strong right for the photograph. Mm-hmm. And then to the left, that little bit of pink on the chair does exactly what we need. Now, I have these in 16:9 format, so they look pretty for us today. But actually, it's the 480 by 640, which is usually what the MLS does. Instead of showing a third of the picture being the ceiling, there's no money up there. Instead, you would have more open foreground, because in the end, ladies and gentlemen, what are we selling? We're selling square footage. I know it doesn't. right? I know it doesn't sound sexy, right? But that's what it is. That's how our mortgages are determined. That's how people look for houses. There's that. So the next picture shows the new light fixtures. So remember, instead of
Oh, I like these so much better.
there, yeah. And she said, what's really nice at night, she goes, it's such a nice calming feel to it and everything. So she's so cute. She's going to buy those again for her new house.
Okay, another light issue, I feel like.
Now, I know this is your favorite, Tori.
This is, wow, this is interesting.
So here's the quandary. Now, again, occupied, right? So you come in and it's just a different animal. When I walked in and saw those two light fixtures sticking out about 10 inches from the ceiling right in your face as you're doing the dishes, and then there was no cabinets, it was like, okay. Now, this was a townhome and the folks didn't have a huge budget. So they also had an issue with the bathroom, which I'm going to share with you in just a moment, that needed to be addressed. And potentially there was going to be a lot of money spent in the bathroom. So when that happens, there's always that balance about what can I do to overcome, because everybody who's ever seen this photo, Tori, they have your response, right? They go, oh my. And so somebody said, well, I would just order more cabinets and put them in. I said, okay.
That's what everybody would have done. Yeah, but it would have cost more money.
Would it cost more money? And guess what? The cabinets would not match. I don't care what you did, because over time, the oil on the finish on the cabinets and everything has a tendency to yellow, right? So they're not going to match. And so then what do? Oh, well, then paint the cabinets. That's additional funds. So thinking as an occupied stager and thinking about the fact that I know we really, wait till you see the bathroom, we really need to take care of that bathroom. We came up with an idea that I'm going to tell you this. This is far enough back. People didn't do this back then. I like to think I had a small part in revolutionizing the way people do their kitchens based on the next photo.
I think that you were lucky that this is on trend right now.
There you go. There
Open shelving.
Yeah. So at the time, you could not find these things. They just didn't do it. And I wanted stainless steel so it would feel like it was like a commercial kitchen. And what was great was we put it across those light fixtures. That made it make sense. And then the other shelf to the left was great because we had it just above the stainless steel dishwasher. So there seemed to be a little bit of poetry to it. And I would never have touched the shelves. It was the home seller, the husband. He staged those. He was so proud of those. And I thought, you know what? I'm not touching them. I thought he did a pretty good job. But the difference is here they spent maybe $100 on those stainless steel shelves versus hundreds of dollars to do anything else, or worse, not to have done anything else at all.
Yeah.
Right? So there's those.
Definitely worse not to have done anything. And the color looks great too, getting rid of that blue. And a blue does not deserve to be on a kitchen wall, I feel like.
Well, they did a study on colors, and blue is one of those colors people don't like to eat in blue. Isn't that interesting? I thought that, and then another reason, like a lot of restaurants are red, is because red gets people to leave faster. Isn't that interesting? So greens and browns keep you in, but anyway.
Keep you in.
Yeah. Okay. So again, every occupied home has a story, right? This house, it was a widow who owned the home. And what had happened was she put it on the market, sold right away. So she was downsizing. She was going to go, I think, to assisted living. And so what she did was she started selling off her things. And the deal fell through. So all of a sudden she has jam-packed rooms and then vacant rooms. And this was the very first room you saw when you opened up the door. So she did not have additional cash to be able for me to bring in and augment her furniture to do what I call a staging enhancement. She just didn't have the money. So I remember going through the house, and down the hall, she had a family room jam-packed full of furniture. And I got to tell you, this is the heaviest piece of furniture I've ever moved in my life, is about what you're going to see in the next picture. There you go.
This is a piano?
It's a piano. It's a piano. So now, what was really interesting was, it was just different. It helped give me more space in the other room, and it gave a stronger photo. And what I found fascinating was the house sold, like the first weekend it sold. So she was thrilled. She moves on. About 4 years later, I get a call from an agent, and they said, hey, I need you to do a consultation at 123 whatever street. And I go, that sounds familiar. So I looked it up. It was this house. I was like, oh my God. So I finally got to meet the buyer, right? When I walked into this house the second time, it was full of like modern stuff, like the Jetsons modern.
Oh, wow.
And so I looked, I said, I have to ask, because this is so totally the opposite. The seller before was so everything in her house was traditional, from the light fixtures down, right? I said, what is it about this house that made you buy it? And he said, because he had told me the minute I stepped into this house, I had to have it. I said, what was that? He said, when I walked in and saw that funky piano in what everybody else made a dining room, he said, I knew I was home. Right? So you never know what's going to work.
You
right?
don't?
You don't. And so we, staged up his home too. I should try to look that up. I'd love to put in what his afters were too. So I'll have to find those sometime. So
yeah, those would be fun to watch. Those would be fun to see.
Yeah. And then again, see, look at this picture, strong left margin. That's why that chair is there. If that chair wasn't there, it wouldn't be. If I put like a dresser or a bureau there, it just would have felt too harsh. Gives a little bit of softness, soft. And then those pictures on the right help me with the strong right margin.
Yes, I love it. Oh boy, lots of frogs.
Okay, so now
this is the frog room.
What's that?
This is the frog room. I'm going to call it.
People have collections, and you never know, right? And this was in an area in the Triangle that there's a lot of. I'm going to say I'm going to use the word hippies. Kind of hippie types, okay? And they're fun. I always love working with them, and they remind me of when I, was living in Oregon and everything. So I love these homes, and they have a lot of built-ins and those types of things. So, but as we walked through the house, we were looking at what could we do. This particular room, it was set up as a guest bedroom, but it was also his office, and it was just jam-packed full of stuff. And so when I was looking at the fixed assets of the room, which was the built-in bookshelves, because the built-in bookshelves, really the only place you could put the bed is where he had the bed over there. The room was very, very tight. And so based on all of that, it was like, okay, let's look at, again, this was using only what they have. Only what they have. We came back. It was consultation. He did some things. He pre-packed, edited furniture. Here's the after. Okay. So
much. You're able to actually see the craftsmanship in this room now.
And notice, if you go back for a second, Tori.
Yes.
Look at how strong the green is. The green is so strong, it makes the wood just look like kind of an orangey brown. But look what the new color does. All of a sudden, you see the graining and the detail into the woodwork. So you've elevated the woodwork. And that's one of the goals I'm always looking for when I have wood, because not everybody paints wood white in lots of parts of the country. I mean, I lived in Colorado, Oregon, California, Florida, and here. And other than Florida, there's a lot of mountain houses where you keep the wood. So anyway, so this, and again, strong left margin, which is the desk, which gives this room identity, which is important. And then on the right side, we have the photo or the picture in that chair to give us a right margin. So always looking for that softness. And again, you had more open foreground on the photo.
I love it. I love it. Hey, everyone. Thank you guys so much for joining us. If you have questions about home staging consultations, go ahead, put those in the comments below. Bobbie and I will be happy to answer some of those for you. And we're just going through some of her her past consultations that she's done, and she's giving us some secrets behind her tricks that she does in order to make these look amazing and sell quickly. So what are we looking at here, Bobbie?
Okay, so what I also want to point out, you guys, I am sharing with you what I call real life home staging. I got glamour girls where it looks like a magazine and all of that. But I'm telling you what, if that's all you're going after, you're missing out on a huge portion of business. So what I'm sharing with you today are not the glamour girls. They're what I call real life home staging. Okay. So now this was the house that had a courtyard in the center. It's actually the office that we were just in, just outside the door. This was a courtyard. The house totally surrounded this. So when I got there, it was just kind of forgotten. It just kind of, you're thinking, what am I going to do with that?
I feel like this is such an amazing selling feature.
Yeah, well, when you went in, it was full of weeds and overgrown plants, and it kind of felt like the timeout room, right? So anyway, so here's the before and there's the after. Okay. So one of the things I always look for in the before photo, you can see that the bench was already there. And
oh, yes.
And again, that was mostly volunteers, we'll call them, on the greenery plants. And so looking for a cost-effective way to come up with something, I was thinking of, like the Japanese meditation walks. And I thought, let's do that, because based on where this house is located, this would be perfect. I'm sure anybody who walked into this house, if you saw the rest of the house, I mean, there were doors from a temple in India that they had flown in to go into the master bedroom. It was a very unique house, but all of that, this was the right solution for them. And actually the professional photo was better, but I like to get from the same perspective. So there you go.
Yeah. No, I love this. I mean, it could easily be put a fountain in there, make it like a meditation spot, do some outdoor working out. Okay. See, and now I never think a green like this should be in a bathroom.
Well, this is what's okay. This is, remember our kitchen with the stainless steel shelves? This is the bathroom that I knew, and I knew we had only so much money to spend. So when they bought this, the bathroom actually had a full built-in counter over there. They took them out to put the individual pedestals. I don't know why, different people like different things. And so what they did was they painted that back wall green because that faux marble surround for the tub and shower had a green to it. So they thought that would fix it. And then the rest was painted yellow, except for inside the closet, which was eggplant purple. You can't see it in this photo. So they had got a quote to replace the tub and shower. And it was like, I'm thinking it was $4,200. And that did not even include putting the glass shower in. And I said, stop. I said, whenever possible, if everything looks in good condition, don't take anything out to have to do with plumbing, because when you do, 7.5 times out of 10, let me warn you, there's something behind those walls you're going to have to fix, and there goes your money. Yeah. So I said, look, it's in good shape. It works. I said, allow me to select a color that will work for you. And I said, give me a portion of that money and let's make other changes in here so that we can stay within your overall budget. So we did that. And so there's the before and there's our after. Okay.
I love what you did. And you actually put the double sink in.
Yes.
And made it white. So it was crisp and clean.
Yes. And they did put in a new surround in a brushed nickel.
Oh, did they put in a floor?
Yes, they did floor too. They did tile.
I don't see the green in this picture.
You know why? The color, when you look at the color that was selected on the wall, can't remember the color, but it was a tone that was kind of between the cream and the green. And it didn't pull so green, it pulled more to the beige side. So my whole thought was to make it feel more spa-like. So yes. It was this one, I was really, really happy for them. And then the tile, what we did was I went down to Lowe's and they were clearing out tile for 57 cents a tile. And we bought it and I had them lay it, in an offset. And it looked great. So it was like we ended up spending in here with the purchase of the new countertop, the mirror, the surround, and the tile floor and the installation. We easily did not hit $4,200. So I was thinking it ended up being around $3,800.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
and it looks so much better.
Yeah. So paint. Yeah, I say this all the time, right, Tori? Paint is money in a can. But the asterisk at the bottom of the page is the right color paint is money in a can.
This is true. You got to pick the right color, which means you need the expert in to do this. Now, I know your images here obviously drive home the point of why a consultation is important. But for real estate agents out there who are kind of on the fence with all of this, why is using a home stager for a real estate consultation, for a home staging consultation, important in their business?
Okay. First of all, I like to remind agents, each and every photo that you send out there is branding your business. In fact, I often say a listing photo says more about the agent than it does about the house that's for sale. So keep that in mind. Now, the home staging consultation, when you have someone that you can really trust, that you respect, and that knows what they're doing, all I can do is help elevate you. So one of the things I do when I work with agents is I find out exactly how the agent, works, where's their focus on their business, those types of things. I explain to them how I work. I invite them. I want them to come 2 or 3 times to see what I'm doing. Some, they've been coming with me for the last 13 years because they enjoy coming. Other times they come a couple, 3 times. They feel confident because I'm doing the same time and time again. They know what I am. They don't come one time and I do it one way. They come another time and I do it a totally different way. So they feel confident in my competency. So that's what agents, I want to encourage you to consider finding a really good stager, because when you do, they can come in and they can give the not so easy news sometimes to the clients, and also provide maybe outside the box solutions so that you are free to step back and you can do the marketing, you can handle the negotiations, especially in this market, right? And do all of those types of things, and it frees you from the sometimes sticky situations that come up. And when you find a good consultant, they should be able to communicate with you. I always talk with the agents before I go and say, what is it that I need to know about the house? Anything I need to know about circumstances of the sale, all of those things are important. And then another thing that a good stager will do for you out there, agents, is that they're going to be such a team player for you. Every opportunity, they're going to bring up the fact that, you're a savvy real estate marketing expert. You're not just sticking a sign and running. You're not just putting it online and running. You're doing everything possible to make sure that they get as much money as possible out of every square inch of their house. It sets you free to do the other things you need to do, and then you no longer have to worry about talking to them and worrying about picking out a color or how to put the furniture or getting them to move things out. And also, a good stager will allow the clients to push back, and they'll be able to move your clients forward. So honestly, I've had some agents in the past who had said to me, I'm never going to use a stager. Their clients asked for a stager. They knew me from a networking event or something. So they would call me in, and when they would go through it, they said, why have I been fighting this? Why have I been fighting this? Because that just takes the world off my shoulders. So it's all about finding a good stager.
I know there's some agents out there that definitely have a bad taste in their mouth because they didn't find a good stager to begin with. So is there one thing or one tip or one suggestion you have in order for them to find that right stager, like for this process? Should they be asking a specific question or looking for something?
That's a really good question, because oftentimes what happens is people think they know, agents will think they know what staging is. And so they never bring a stager in except for the vacants or except for the really bad ones, right? And so here's the thing. You need to interview these stagers, and you need to interview them to find out if they can speak clearly, if they can discuss money clearly. You need to look at their portfolio and make sure that the photos they show you, number one, are truly theirs and not just stock photos of, well, this is what I would do. No, it's actually representation of their work, and also that it represents what it is that you're looking for. So as an agent, if you happen to specialize in homes, let's say starter homes. So let's say up to $400,000. I know every market has different numbers, but let's say up to $400,000. And you're looking to have a stager come in and work with the clients. You want to see the befores and afters in the occupied side to see what that stager can do using only what the client has, number one. And then if they offer the service, what a staging enhancement, what that can do to elevate the listing. Okay. So you want to make sure that it fits. If you're looking for a stager who does vacants, look at their portfolio. If all they show you are their glamour girls, I'm going to say push to ask for more, because you know what? Your clients up to $400,000, they may not have enough money to bring the level of staging that's being represented in the portfolio. Have them show you, apples to apples. So if you've got an occupied stager, you want to talk to them and find out how they handle pushback. You want to find out what their attitude is, because guess what? We're part psychologists. We have to be. because it's our job to help the client move forward. So the interview is really important. Actually, Tori, we were in the book, it's right back there. What is it called? Home Staging. Can't think of the name of the book. Oh my God.
One of those books that we were in.
So it's Home Staging, the Power That Sells Real Estate. My whole chapter is how to hire a home stager. So if you happen to work in the luxury market, you want to make sure that the vacant stager who comes in brings the level of furnishings that those homes require. Okay. So also,
look in their portfolio for diversity, for different price points. So you know that they're going to be able to accommodate your specific listing that you're looking for.
And see if they specialize in a particular, sub niche. Because when I was doing vacant staging, I actually provided for historic homes. And that was an area that if you had because we've got some homes from the 1700s, 1800s, right? So people would call me because I had furnishings that was particular to that flavor of house, in addition to my regular things. But so you want to make sure that they match, and don't push an occupied stager to do vacant work, and don't push a vacant stager to do occupied if they don't happen to offer both services. Because a vacant stager can be awesome at what they do, and they do incredibly beautiful work, but maybe they don't like touching other people's stuff. I've had people tell me that. I don't like touching people's stuff. So you just never know. So find that out. That'll serve you well.
Obviously, do you think the agents that you work with, do they do a consultation on every listing they do, or do they pick and choose? I mean, do you think that every home out there needs to have at least a staging consultation?
So great question. And the answer is yes, because I work with all kinds of different agents. Well, I mean, I work with all kinds of agents. Some of them have me come only for the problem children. Some people, I mean, I've actually got now about 5 that use me for every single listing. Even in this market, the one said, look, Bobbie, I know I could put a bag of dog poo on the front and that house is going to sell over ass. He goes, but if I have you come in and we follow through what you're recommending, she said, I know we're going to just like massively clean up. And so even in this market, she's bringing me in on every single one. Now, are my recommendations the exact same as I would do if it was in a buyer's market? Of course not. However, she understands the strength of the photos. So anyway, so every agent works different. Okay. And then, so sometimes I've got some that will bring me in and then they kind of fade off, and then all of a sudden they come back with a vengeance. So you never know. You never know. So I believe that every house can benefit from being staged. However, I also know that everybody has a time frame and budget. So if the budget is such, the stager should be able to step back and pull themselves out, almost like be a fiduciary, right? Pull what's good for them out and make the recommendations that's necessary to move the client in the client's best interest. So there are times when I was doing vacants, even that I would walk in and I say, do not have me stage this. If you only have so much money, it has to go to paint, because the fixed assets are the most important thing.
Yes, because they're staying with the house.
Exactly. Sometimes the furniture does too, though. People like it.
That's true.
Yeah.
What do you have any tips for stagers, I guess, on how to actually have this conversation with agents? Because there's always pushback with the staging community of how do I introduce my company, let alone this service to them so they can build this relationship?
So first of all, understand not everybody's going to want you, and that's just the way that it is. So what I would recommend is that as we're starting to open up, there's networking events and things, make yourself go. I have a whole technique for that called finding us. And so go to these networking events, and I don't know if you want me to talk about that, but what I would do is go to these events. One of the things I love to do is drive your own neighborhood. Who are the agents that are showing up all the time, on the signs? Contact them and just ask them, say, well, I have a home staging business and you're in my neighborhood. I have a vested interest. I want my house properties to go to town. So, I was wondering, do you work with a stager? If not, I'd love to talk with you and just see, if maybe there's some way that we could collaborate. You can ask. All they can do is tell you no. And you know what? You will survive a no. Sometimes, though, they will say, hadn't really thought about it. So I love it. I've been Zooming with people, right? So that makes it nice because then I can pick my surrounding and then I only have to be pretty from the waist up. I don't have to worry, right? And then look to the agents who have, this is kind of my formula. If an agent has like less than 5 listings over a year's time, how focused are they? How focused, how many listings are they going to have, et cetera?
Yeah.
When you have an agent who has I know I actually was contacted by an agent. She has like 30, 35 listings a month. And so I went through that whole process. And what I've learned through the years is that when you find an agent who has maybe 5 to 12 listings over the last year, you know what? They're doing something. Because they're above and beyond selling to their mom, their mom's house, their best friend's house, their neighbor's house, and their cousin's house, right? They're doing something. They're starting to get into a wider berth, and they're looking for an opportunity to get in there. Now, that agent who has 30 listings a month, let's say I go in there and stage the tar out of everything, and she just goes to town. And so next month, she has 35 listings, right? She's not going to attribute any of that to me. She's just not, right? However, if my 5 to 12, I go in there and we really collaborate. I explain my positions about strong marketing photos. I talk to them about the photography. We talk about all of that, price and presentation made up of staging and photos. We talk about all of that. Then we're now in business together. We're collaborating. And guess what? If I through my efforts, our team efforts, they get 5 more listings for the year, forget a month. You've just changed their whole life, right? So those are the agents I love to start working with because over time, 5 to 12 a year becomes 5 a month, becomes 6 a month, 7 a month. Those are the people that you want to come up alongside. And also, I do not discount my services for agents that I've worked with even for like 16, 17 years. However, those agents get special dispensation. If it's after 5:30 and the phone rings, I pick up for them. Do I work weekends? Generally, no. There's an upcharge if I do, but depending on the situation, if it's one of my special agents that we've worked together all this time, I'll book that without the additional fee. So there's other things that you can do. You do not give your money away because you know what? The agent wants you to be in business tomorrow because if you're any good, they're going to want you there to continue collaborating. So it's just one of those things that's what I look for in agents. And over time, I've been very blessed that the agents I've worked with have referred people over. And I had a great conversation with Joseph Heeker. What he said was, you know what? He said, if we all just went to one person that we do business with and said to them, okay, last month you did 2 stagings with me. What could I do to get 1 more from you? Okay. He said, think what that would do to your business. So same thing. What if you were to go to your agents and just say, you know what? I've worked with you this last month. Is there anybody that you would think that would like to work with somebody like me? And find out, because a lot of times they will refer you out to other agents. And then when you specifically say, you know what, I'm really looking for agents who have like 5 to 12 listings over last year, names pop up. Because you know what? Generally, they're at those Tuesday meetings because they're not so busy now that they're too busy to come. They're still coming to those meetings. So they'll think about that. So don't be afraid to just let them know you're there to help. And I tell agents, look, I'm not supposed to work with everybody and we may not hit it off or I might not be your cup of tea. So, but that's okay. But we won't know till we try.
That's true. You got to try.
Yep.
And referrals are key in this business.
It really is.
Guys, we've got a couple more minutes left. So if you have questions for Bobbie McGrath, let us know. Put them in the comments below. And I've got a couple more questions for you, Bobbie.
Okay.
How should a home seller prepare for consultation? How should they prepare for a consultation?
Great question. Number one, please, this is for the occupied, because I'm speaking occupied, okay?
We're occupied, people. We're occupied.
Right. So please do not pack all your stuff away. I get there and the house is stripped and I have nothing to choose from. And one of my goals is, and this is what I'm known for too, is I always start with using what you already have. And then if your circumstances would avail you to have additional items brought in, or if you're willing to purchase additional items, we can talk. But let me see what you have, because you never know what I can use within the staging process. Also, please do not paint before I come. Let a stager come in and select the money colors for you. I had a house where they spent, I think, $11,000 painting the house. And when I walked in, one of the first things I said was, oh, well, I don't do it. I have a process. I don't bring up paint till later because it costs money. It freaks people out if you load them up front. But I eventually brought it up. So let's talk about paint. And they said, oh, do you like it? We just had it done. My heart sank. I said, oh, because it was the wrong color. It had a timestamp on it. They spent all this money. It was brand new gold colored walls. And if they had waited and allowed me to pick a color, that would make them more money, So one is maintenance. If you just repaint the same color and it's got a timestamp on it, that's maintenance. But if you select the right color and it really shows off the fixed assets of the room, really makes those floors look fabulous. If you do that, that's a money color. So let me do that. So don't pre-pack, don't do that. But I would love it if you would think about what are the items you're not taking with you to the next house, because we can work that out of the staging plan. And also be thinking if there's something you've been thinking about buying maybe for the new house, and if you bought it now, could it help you with the way your home shows? Would you be willing to do that? If I could know if they would do that, and have their pad and paper, because I have them take the notes. That's it.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you, so day of consultation, the sellers are in there, and then what are they doing that day physically?
Okay. So what they do is when I get there, I have them take the notes. We walk outside and, I tell them, give me pushback. I have a whole thing that I say. And then we go into the house, we go room by room, and I'll make my recommendations. I'll say, perfect roll, this is what I'd like to see. They give pushback. I give my reasons behind my initial recommendation. And then if I have an idea what something like that would cost, if there's an investment, I'll give them a ballpark idea. But then I'll say, okay, if that can't happen, here's another idea. And then I'll give them that second idea. We do that through the whole house. And I prepare them. I say, prepare to be overwhelmed. I figure, listen, I'm here to make you money. And that's what I do. I'm good at it. So what we're going to do is just be prepared, because before I leave, I'm going to sit down and write up a top 10 priority list. So here's the bazillion things that you just learned. But these are the top 10 areas. If you do nothing else that I've recommended, start with number one. And it's interesting because the people who give themselves the gift of time to get ready, I'll come back a year later and they may have lost their notes, but they've got that top 10. It's on the refrigerator. So it's a really good technique. And it's a real, because I take a picture of that top 10, the top 10 list, and I'll send it to the agent if the agent didn't happen to come with us. And I know I can do it electronically. I did that, but it was so much more effective when it was written and they had the paper. It's really funny. People still want to have something when you leave. So,
well, I think it's also prioritizing it and giving them, this is what you need to do. These are the steps.
Exactly.
And then, so I know you said that you leave everything on the table at your consultation. So there's like nothing essentially else that they potentially need from you, but do you still offer further services after your consult?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I tell them everything. I am like a fire hose, right? It's like, shh, here's the information. Come about room number 3 or something. I'll go, how you guys doing? Are you feeling overwhelmed? And if they ever say, oh, no, we're fine. I'll go, oh, I better talk faster. They go, no. But they'll go, well, it's a little more than what we thought, because I'm telling them the sofa goes here, the vase goes there. I really break it down. And so I'll tell them, I say, look, I say, you know, many of my clients would like me to come back. So I do offer an additional service. It's called a photo prep. You know, or if there's furniture things that you're thinking that perhaps you would like me to bring in, I said, that's called a staging enhancement. I said, that's an additional service too. I said, if that's something you're interested in, let me know. And what I'll do is I'll speak differently to you. So rather than say this goes here, that goes there, I'll say, keep, pre-pack. And I said, then either myself, depending on how much still needs to be done, or myself and a team will come back and we'll do all those final touches before you have the marketing photos done. Just let me know if you're interested. And so now, a lot of times people don't have the additional money for you to do that. So my whole goal is for the folks who are investing in me that first time, and I know that it's a stretch to their dollar for me to be there, I make sure I don't leave anything gone off the table because I want them to succeed, right? Now, for the people who do potentially have the additional funds to have me come back, I've planted that seed. I've said it's an additional service so they know that I get paid when I come back because I've made the mistake, experienced stage, remember, where I said, oh yeah, I can help you out with that. Well, help you out. What is that? She's just going to come by for a half hour and kind of look at stuff. When I say it's an additional service, they understand it's going to be paid. But when I do that, once I started doing that consistently with clients, my bookings for the photo preps and the staging enhancements and even the full occupied staging, which people think I don't do, which cracks me up. Yes, I do. But they increased. But that's not my business model does not depend on getting those additional services. And when I see in a lot of the threads, I'll see where they're saying, you know, well, I went into the consultation, but they're not going to have me come back. And I'm like thinking, you shouldn't be hanging your hat on the maybe. Hang your hat on a strong foundation of consultations. And then when you do get those additional bookings, it's gravy money. It's gravy money. So, and then that way, again, the consultation, it's a low overhead. Once you start getting into photo prep is still, you're not bringing things in. Staging enhancement is really a photo prep where you're bringing some items in, but your overhead goes higher with that staging enhancement because now you've invested in art, you know, maybe some small furniture, things like that, because there's certain things I don't take into occupied homes. But there's that. And then when you go to the full occupied, now again, your overhead increases more because you have a larger team. You may have movers coming in to help you move things. So low overhead, and the higher you go on that pyramid, the higher your overhead becomes. So you get to decide at what level you want to offer everything. And don't feel like you have to do all of them because I am here to tell you, you can do very well, thank you very much, in that occupied. And then that first level of gravy money, the photo prep.
Yeah. We have a question here from Demita. I hope I said your name right. She said, how many certification hours do I need to get started? And you don't necessarily need to get certified. However, we would strongly recommend that you do. Is your OCS class certified or not yet?
So that's so funny because it's the Occupied Consultation Specialist program. And so, well, that's one of those things. It's not been RESA certified yet, still going through that whole process. There's a lot of education you can get out there. So RESA has a very high level, what's the word I'm looking for, Tori? Requirements to get the to get the RESA stamp of approval. So we do have educators through RESA who provide overall staging education from soup to nuts, so you can learn about everything. And then there's specialty providers such as me. And so what I do is I like to say they're like a luxury liner, right? They carry and they have everything on that luxury boat. Okay, and they go. Now, if they need something quick and they just need to know specifically, I'm the speedboat. I come out, deliver, and come back out. And then you can immediately utilize the information that I provide. So there's the difference between getting a full certification, which is everything, versus a more continuing ed or specialized educator, which I am.
Yes, and I put I put a training provider inside the comments if you want to check that company out. And RESA stands for the Real Estate Staging Association. So you can go and check that website out as well to learn more about that. It's great to work with like-minded people and get to know other people in the industry, how they're doing things differently. And of course, it's a huge resource and provides tons of value, like Bobbie was saying, with continuing education and such. So Bobbie, talk about the Occupied Consultation Specialist program that you offer in our last couple of minutes here, and where can people learn more about it?
Okay, so first of all, what I did was I had this poor woman follow me for like a year, and all she did was take notes about what I said, how I said it, and when I said it. Oh my God, we all need to still pray for her. I'm sure she's still traumatized. But so what I did, and then we would analyze what the clients did and didn't do. And we looked, and when we looked at the marketing photos, and I would tweak what I said, how I said it, when I said it. And over time, I created the OCS program. So the OCS program, the whole idea was this. I thought, 17 years ago, when I started my business, what do I wish I had known before I just kind of blindly jumped in there? And I wish that I had known how to provide a very thorough, fact-based, neuromarketing-based consultation that would allow my clients to move forward, would also provide me and focus in on that my true expertise, and that would command respect from folks, instead of, like this one guy said, oh, you're a glorified housekeeper, right? That's what home staging is. So when I look back, I was just like thinking, what would I have wanted? And if I had known when I started my business, I got a lot to learn, because there's a lot to learn. But if I had one service that I could provide around my lifestyle, not a huge overhead and that things, what would it be? It would be the consultation. And so that's when I took all of that information and I boiled it down. And I just don't say, do this, do that. I go down into the minutia as to why. What I love is that my students have shared with me that they just feel so much more confident talking about their business, because again, when you first start your business and you're starting marketing, what are you marketing? If people start asking you questions and you say, oh, I do all home staging, how do you answer that? Right? And so if you don't know what it is that you're providing, then you can come across very, very scattered and unsure. And a lot of times that's reflected in a really low price when you start your business. You start off giving consultations for $75. And
that's way too low. Oh my God.
Oh, yeah. And so, but when that happens, it's like, so if I could have had one thing that I could talk about confidently, and then when people start asking me, well, can you bring furniture and everything? At least I could stand back and think, well, okay, wait a minute, how could I add this to my business? So that's why I created the Occupied Consultation Specialist. I looked at it and said, if I could create it, do a deep dive, and then also I do group coaching with the program for the 12 weeks. When I was looking at that, I was thinking, what would I want? And so that was it. So it's a deep dive. And if anybody's interested, you can go to occupiedconsultationspecialist.com. Could I have made it any longer? I'm just saying. But occupiedconsultationspecialist.com, and you can check it out. And there's going to be a kickoff. I'm looking now, probably early August is when it's going to kick off. So I'll be opening the doors on signing up for the class soon.
Ooh, that's great. So definitely get on the wait list and get prepared to become a consultation specialist, an occupied consultation specialist. I love it. Bobbie, thank you so much for jumping on the call today, sharing your wealth of education and knowledge behind this topic. Guys, know that you don't have to have a warehouse. Know that you don't have to have inventory. Know that you don't need to have all this overhead to be a successful home stager. There's other ways and different avenues now, because our industry has grown over the past couple of decades. And it's with people like Bobbie who have actually paved the way to make this more of an acceptable stream of income. So thank you so much. You do so much for the industry, and I value your time. If anybody wants to follow you, where should they go?
You know what? You can go to Successful Staging with Bobbie McGrath on Facebook, or you can go to Bobbie McGrath on Facebook. I'm there all the time. So very well to do that. And right now my website's being updated. So if you go to successfulstaging.com, you're going to find a hold page, but stay tuned. That'll be released soon.
Great. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for joining us live. If you're checking out the replay, put in #replay in the comments below. And also, if you have any questions as you're watching the replay, go ahead and put those below too. We'll come back and try and answer those for you. I hope you have an amazing day and stay cool out there. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.